Shabbat Shalom. This is going to be what I hope is the first of a weekly series of short comments on the weekly Torah portion or other interesting topics that I want to share with you, members of Shaare congregation. We are going to discuss briefly the beginning of Parshat Vaera, this week's Torah portion at Shaare. Parsha Vaera begins with Moses encountering God once again. Moses has been a very brave fellow. He's gone to visit Pharaoh, and without much ado introduces himself to Pharaoh with the demand, "Let my people go." But Moses wasn't necessarily brave all the time. We remember that Moses also refused God's commission to go to Egypt in the first place. He gave God 4 convincing arguments in last week's Parsha, and for each argument, God had a counter-argument in order to make Moses ready for the job. But the moment Pharaoh tells Moses that he will not release the people, that indeed he will make their work even more difficult, Moses runs away and seeks out God's compassion and comfort once again. And so God appears to Moses at the beginning of the Torah portion. Let me read the Parsha to you. God, Vaydaber Elohim el Moshe, Vayomer elav, Ani Adonai. God spoke to Moses and said, "I am the Lord, Ani Adonai." God introduces himself with a famous 4-letter name, Yud-He, Vav-He. Each of those letters a silent letter, a softly spoken letter. And then God says, Vaera el Avraham el Yitzchak vel Yaakov Beth-El Shaddai. When I appeared to your ancestors, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, I was known to them as El Shaddai. Uvishmi Adonai lo nodati lahem. But by my name Adonai, Yud-He Vav-He, I wasn't known to them. Is God introducing himself for the first time? Surely Moses has met God at the mountain. Surely God said to him, "I am who I am, Eheyeh, Asher Eheyeh." Surely Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob each knew God by the name Adonai. But here's the insight. The name Adonai is a personal name. And as Moses needed to hear that personal name, he needed to be reassured that God was with him. For God to introduce himself as someone new, to give himself a new name, to give himself the name Adonai that Moses had never heard, would be surprising to Moses. But when Moses hears the name Adonai, he understands full well that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God who made the promise to bring Abraham's descendants down to the land of Egypt and bring them out again and back to the land of Canaan, that God would be with him. And so it was. God reassures Moses. Each of us in our lives has moments when we are no longer confident in ourselves, when we lack the surety to go forward with the task at hand. And sometimes it's that reassuring word, that reassuring sense that comes from a person who we know exceedingly well, a good friend, a spouse, a parent, someone who we trust, who gives us that word of confidence. Knowing the name of the person, knowing the person well, reassures us that we can continue with our task. And so it was with Moses, and so it can be with us. We need to know that besides our parents, besides our spouses, our best friends, even our children, that we too can call on God, that we can call on Hashem, and that Hashem can give us the type of confidence that we need anytime our confidence runs thin. Shabbat Shalom.